Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Hoa TV and today I'm going to be showing you how to get better with M&K in one day. I've helped someone previously in lobbies go from someone who missed all of their shots to someone who was getting a 7-kill game immediately after. So we're going to cover all of the things that you need. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so what do I mean by aim specifically? What I mean by aim specifically is the muscle memory that you develop in order to use your mouse to hit your target reliably and consistently. So what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the muscle memory and how you acquire that. We're going to be looking at the space that you need. We're going to be also looking at the in-game settings, your true sensitivity, and all of the things which are included in that. So if you want to skip to a certain part in the video because you've already watched this, or maybe you've heard of some of these things before and you want to see the timestamps of each individual one, just go into the description below and you'll be able to see all of the timestamps there and just switch over to whichever one you like. So without further ado, let's get into the first element of the video. Okay, so this is the key concepts area. Now remember, this isn't for the whole entirety of PC gaming in general. There's a lot more to that, and if you're interested in that, I'll make a future video, but that would be an incredibly long video. So what we're going to do here today is we're only going to cover the things that were important for you getting better aim in Apex, okay? So the first thing is your DPI. Now, most pro gamers, or most professional players, esports players and the like, use a mixture of either 400 DPI or 800 DPI, but you can find the majority of them at 400 DPI. It's an incredibly solid DPI, and it's, in a way, I find it easier to use on my desktop, but again, that's going to be down to personal preference. It doesn't particularly matter which DPI you have, 800, 1600, 400, but I would normally try to go something of what the pros use, and I'll include a link in the description so you can have a look at what all of the pros use on prosettings.com, but I would try to use something around 400 or 800 DPI, and don't really mix 450, 550, stuff like that. Try to keep it at a set amount, like 400, 500, 600, etc. And then we're going to look at the game engine, the acceleration and the multipliers, and the in-game sense. Obviously these are things that we're going to cover as well as we go through the video, but all you need to know for now is that you need to know your DPI moving forward. So download the mouse software or whatever you have to check your DPI, and then also so you can pause the video now and go do that. And then also we're going to look at in-game settings, so mouse acceleration, Windows acceleration as well. We can just look at that quickly whilst we're in that area of the video, and then also multipliers. So you also want to be able to know what multipliers are doing for you in game, and we'll cover that in game as well. So we're going to move on to the next bit now, but pause the video, do check your sensitivity or your DPI. So find out what your in-game sense is, find out what your DPI is, write them down on a little bit of paper, make a note of them, because when we move into the next step, it's going to be really important. Okay, so see you there. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is how to find your own sensitivity and DPI. So I'm going to recommend that for this video, or for the sake of this video, that you just choose 400 DPI or 800 DPI, and you base it off of what feels most comfortable on your desktop, right? So, or in the menus. So if 400 DPI feels way too slow on your desktop, that's fine, just use 800 DPI, but half the in-game sense that we're going to be using in the next part of this video, or just put 400 DPI and then we'll move on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at your space next. So look at this desk that we've got here, right? This desk has quite a lot of mouse room. Now when you go from a high sensitivity to a low sensitivity, the first thing that you're going to notice is that you need a lot of room to move about, and that's fine. It's going to feel alien to you at first because you're going to be using a combination of your arm to move around and your wrist to precisely aim, right? So you're going to need a lot of room. So for now, set your DPI to 400 DPI and your in-game sense in Apex to 2, right? So set it to 2. Now try to make enough room on your desktop so that you can run around in Apex and you don't feel like you're going off the edge of your table or off the edge of your mouse mat, and adjust that in-game sensitivity by say 0.5 until you feel comfortable, right? Or 0.2 even, 0.2 or so, right? So if you can, you want a big mouse mat like this, you want to put it in the area here so that you've got plenty of room to move your arm around and then, you know, aim or have movement still. But however, if you've got a smaller mouse mat somewhere in, say, this region, right, this size, and you can only cover about this much size of your desk because maybe you've got a smaller desk or maybe you prefer a smaller desk, right? That's all fine. But you want to try and get the sensitivity as low as possible. And once you've done that, we'll hop into game and I'll show you what you need to do in order to keep your sensitivity the same throughout your whole Apex experience and incorporate it into the in-game settings. So remember, 400 DPI, 2 in-game sends. If that doesn't work for you because it feels too slow or you don't have the room, if you can use that, that's brilliant, please use that. But if you can't, just put it up by 0.2 in-game sends each time until you feel like you can move around on the mouse map. Okay, so let's jump into the next bit. Okay, so this part of the video is going to be teaching you how to keep your sensitivity the same. Okay, now not only keeping your sensitivity the same, but showing you exactly why your in-game sensitivity has most likely been wrong this entire time as well. Okay, so we're looking at this target and I have a 1x and I have a wingman. Now if we go into the settings here, mouse and keyboard, first we want to disable mouse acceleration, turn that off. And I will also include a link in the description showing you how to turn off the Windows acceleration for the mouse if you have that on, okay, because sometimes it can come on by default. So here we've got our in-game sense of 2, yours might now be 2.2 or 2.3 or 2.8, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, we will work with 2 for now, okay? So 2 in-game sends. This is a little bit misleading because you would think that this 2 in-game sends creates a true sensitivity that is the same for all of your guns. However, this is not true, okay? All that it means is that this is the sensitivity for your hip fire. Now, to know the measurement of your true sensitivity and this sensitivity setting in game is to swipe from the right to the left on your mouse mat until you do a 360. I'm sorry, I've got my microphone here, so I can't actually do a 360 with the space I've got my mouse mat, but you swipe from the left to the right, and wherever the mouse ends, you measure that distance, and that is your 360 draw distance. Now, taking that logic forwards, if you were to do that in every game that you played, so you measured from point A to point B, how many centimeters or inches it takes you to do a 360, you can easily translate your aim into any game that you play. So, if we were to go to settings and we're to look at all of these, I'm going to explain why I have per optic sensitivity on. So, this mouse sensitivity here, and the way it's misleading, only relates to your hip fire. So your hip fire 360 draw distance from point A here to point B here, maybe 16 inches, say. However, for your 1x and your iron optic sights, if you were to have this as off, all of these are set to a default of 1, okay? Which means that when you aim in, you may be going all the way around here like this, but aiming, stopping here from your point A to B. Whereas your B would be here, this is where that sensitivity's got you. So almost, you haven't got the sensitivity correct, right? Which is why you want it set to 2, and then you want it set to 1.3. So when I go over here, and I was to say flick at the targets, even though the wingman's a little bit inaccurate, although if we do crouch, we get a better flick for the hip fire because it's always in the center shot, right? But if I was to hip fire at these targets and then aim in at them, I would actually be slightly off. I may try to flick over here, but I'd be here instead of there, and it would just be, you know, my muscle memory wouldn't know what's going on because I'd be trying to flick to that, and my brain's telling me, oh, to flick from here to here is 1.5 centimeters. That's what we're used to with the hip fire, right? But then your brain would go, oh, and you'd end up here, and you wouldn't be able to hit the target. And what you want is you want the hip fire to be the same as the ADS, which is why in the settings we have it as 2 and 1.3. Don't worry about these for now. So when we're trying to flick, we can just flick to the targets, and it's an easy enough shot each time. So, moving on to these, and the reason I have these as 1.5 and 1.2 is because these are affected by FOV. Now, if I was to zoom into this target, you can see that my FOV zooms in greatly. And whenever you try to match the sensitivity, and remember this spot because this is the best spot, and be Pathfinder. So be Pathfinder, come to this spot, stand on here, and you'll be adjacent to this little red dot in the middle here so that you can always measure your 360 draw distance properly. But when I zoom in, you can see that my FOV changes. And if I was to set the same 360 draw distance, which was to match that slider to the sensitivity in here, which I can do for you right now because I know exactly what it is. It's 2.3, and this means that when I swipe from point A to point B, I come right here. And this is where my true sensitivity matches up with my 360 draw distance. And I will put an image of that above so that you have an easier time understanding it. But as you can see, even though it may not impact my flicks, it is zoomed in. And because it's zoomed in, it looks a lot faster than what it is. And what I've found is that because it looks faster than what it is, it messes up your brain, and your brain doesn't want to accept that you can't really flick with it because your brain doesn't know why it's moving so fast, and it sends mixed signals to your hand or whatever it does. I don't know why, maybe you can get used to it. And if you want, you can set it as 2.3 from the 2 in-game sense if you really want everything to be the same and your muscle memory to be the same. But I personally keep it as 1.5. I keep it a lot slower so that it is slower. And then when I use it on long-range guns, I only ever tend to use them like this at long range and aim like that. Okay, so I hope that's easy to understand for you, and I hope that I've explained everything properly. Again, I will put an image in the above video area so that you can see what the 360 draw distance actually means, but it is incredibly powerful for when you want to move to a different game and you want to keep your muscle memory. Another really important thing to remember is to keep your sensitivity the same, no matter what. Remember the 360 draw distance, draw it out on your mouse mat if you have to, put a tack in there, put anything in there so that when you swipe from point A to point B, you always know where you end up and you always know what your sensitivity is supposed to be. Keep it the same, always. And then you can even use that method to check the multipliers in game to make sure it's the same from point A to point B. But the message behind all of this, as well as practice makes perfect and perfect practice makes perfect, you want to keep your sensitivity the same. You're never going to develop muscle memory if you lose one game and then you go and change your DPI or your sensitivity because you think it doesn't work for you. Keep it the same and you will gain the benefits from muscle memory, I promise you. Practice makes perfect. Now, one of the most common things I hear amongst people that I play with is that just play the game and you'll get good. Now, that may be true because of course you do develop game sense over that time, but it's not true for one vital reason, and that reason is being that practice makes permanent. Practice does not make perfect, okay? So if you haven't done your aim settings and you haven't really adjusted and fine-tuned everything so that you've got the same 360 draw distance each time, then you're going to be training your muscle memory wrong. And you could practice as much as you want, but because of the conflict you have in the settings, you're never going to quite be able to get that perfect aim until it's made correct. So once you've got the aim settings right from what we did over there, we're going to come over here to this area, and I don't understand why people use aim trainers because you've got the best aim trainer in a way over here, okay? So we come to this point over here, we grab an R301 with a 1x on it, and we switch it over to single fire. And what we do is we just practice flicking onto these targets. Now you have to forgive me, my aim is a little bit bad today because I haven't warmed up. And if you want, grab a purple mag, everything that you'd like, just to increase the accuracy and everything, because it doesn't matter because all you're going for here is your aiming. Now, you may see me do it a little bit fast here, but that is actually the wrong way to do it. What you want to do is you want to aim as slowly and precisely as possible from each target, and make a little routine for yourself, aiming from one to the other, back and forth, as slowly and as accurately as you can. In the firing range, it's for forming technique, and then in combat or in your PvP sessions, it's for reaction time, right? So you just want to react as quickly as possible. And you can save that for when you're in a PvP arenas lobby or something like that. So, practice makes perfect. So what you want to do, perfect practice makes perfect. You want to be practicing perfectly all the time, maybe about 20 minutes before you log on to your session, and then you'll be fine. Okay? So, with that knowledge in hand, I hope that you're able to practice effectively, and I hope that the in-game settings worked for you, that you managed to move your desk around, or the area on your desk, and yeah. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope that you found some use in it, and please let me know in the comments if you followed everything that I've said, and if you've gone from someone who couldn't hit your shots or wasn't very good to someone who is now hitting their shots in game, because I would love to hear about that. It always makes my day when someone comes back to me and tells me that what I've said has made a difference. So I know that I've kept this video short and sweet and as concise as possible, but if you do feel like seeing more of me, go to my Twitch channel at Hoa TV to see more of my gameplay. And of course, if you like the video that much, please like it and subscribe. It really helps me out a bunch. And with all that said, have a great day, and I hope you get some pubs.